About a year ago, I posted a short about a cafe in Dubai that also has a huge sandbox where they have remote controlled excavators, diggers, cranes, etc. That short got about 20 million views across platforms. And would you believe it? This guy named Tim in Erlanger, Kentucky, of all places, said, that's my business. He'd had a W 2 job his whole career. And he said, this is the business I'm going to start. So he spent a little bit of money. He bought some equipment, he bought some sand, and he posted up at fairs and festivals and started making thousands of dollars, charging $1 a minute to kids and grown-ups, almost all men, to play with these RC diggers, excavators. Now he's opening a full retail store doing the same thing, and he is crushing it. So, of course, I had to have Tim on the pod to tell us how'd you do it, how are you making money, how can we copy you? Please enjoy. What's an average event for you?
So our average events, once we got going, we were, and profit's hard because it's my wife and I running it, so we're not really spending any money to besides the cost of
Sure.
the event. And so most of our events, on a bad day, we would do 200 or 300 bucks a day. On our best day, we did $800. That was
Mm.
a crazy day. And then on our busiest day, we did a private event for Choice Hotels at a Bengals tailgate. I've never been so big. There were so many kids, and it was all free to them because it was an open event,
Mm.
and they had nothing else to do.
Yeah. So for that event, they just paid you to be there for free?
Yeah,
And what did they pay you?
that one was $4.99 because it was such an open public event.
And how long were you there for?
Total about 3 hours was set up,
Wow, that's awesome.
and the guy who runs Choice Hotels marketing came with his kids, and they played. And he's like, "Hey, we have this big tailgate. You guys should. We'd love to have you." And I was like, "Sure, great." That kind of stuff. You have those conversations all day. 2 days later, he's like, "Hey, what are you doing this Sunday?" So it went
That's
pretty
awesome.
fast on that one, but I suspect that one will be a repeating event because they had so many kids. It's a big family event that they have a big family tailgate for everybody.
Yeah. Now, your best fair ever, what was your revenue that week?
Probably 2,600 bucks in that neighborhood. And that one, I think that one was our biggest event, mostly because the crowd was just perfect for us. It was
Yeah.
in a really rural county, but this county drew an amazing crowd for their horse show. So you had a lot of people with disposable income who were there and kids who were bored. So at that show, we had a lot of parents who came up and were like, "Here's 20 bucks. He's going to be here for a minute," like that kind of thing.
20 minutes, actually.
Yeah, yeah. At the store, our pricing model is going to be completely different. It starts generally around the same. So we're going to do 15 minutes for 15 bucks. And then as you scale time, it gets significantly cheaper per minute. But
Okay.
we're also going to offer things like memberships and stuff like that so that someone who wants to come a lot.
Now, on your trailer, how many customers can you accommodate at the same time?
Ideally, around 10 is the max. So we have three excavators, two front loaders, I don't know what it's called, but a big tower crane is what I call it. So we have a big crane. And then I have like 7 different RC trucks,
Okay.
Traxxas vehicles that we use. At 10, it starts to get too crazy in there because
Yeah.
most of that is the traffic, but they don't, you can run those things right into the excavator and they don't budge. The excavators are
Yeah.
full metal and pretty heavy. My wife Jen thinks this year our private party business is going to blow up because we were kind of into birthday party season already when we
Hmm.
started it. Nobody knew about us, and seems to be holding true because we've already booked a couple for this year. So
Yeah. Now, how do you keep track of their time? Like,
through the app,
how did,
if you saw in that picture that TV that's on there, so someone comes up and let's say Johnny wants to play, we get a name, and if they'll give it to us an email so that we track it, we keep their email for marketing, and then we put how long they're going to play, 5, 10, 15 minutes, however long they ask for.
okay.
And then as soon as we sell it, it goes up on the monitor, and it gives them about a 30-second buffer to get the remote and get set up. And
Hmm.
then there's a countdown timer that just says their name with their countdown. As it gets closer to the end of the time, it changes colors to warn them, and it'll start
That's
to
cool.
flash. When it's done, it stays up there for a minute and says, "Your time's up." And what that has done for us is eliminate the vast majority of us having to tell kids because their parents do. Their
Yeah.
parents are like, "Hey, time's up," or "You got a minute left." They're on top of it, so we don't have to be.
Is this the app that you built with Replit?
Yes, sir.
So, I mean, you have no coding experience and you built like the app that runs your entire business with just AI.
Correct. To be fair, I have some coding experience. I used to be a control system programmer. So with that came a lot of testing code experience. And I honestly think if you have QA coding experience, that kind of stuff, if you can talk to the computer the way you would someone who's coding, it does a
Mhm.
much better job. So I've had really good success with Replit. It's also it blows my mind as someone who's been in technology my whole life. In just the 8 months or so, how much better Replit has gotten every time I use it.
Yeah. Let me go back to this. So,
Sure.
what percentage of your customers are, under 18 and what percentage of are 30 to 70-year-old dudes?
It's a good mix of 50-50.
Hmm.
I was actually really blown away. It's funny at Boone County and a lot of the county fairs, they have the dirt tracks for different things. So they have guys there running these kind of machines. And so many of them at the end of their shift at the, 9 o'clock at night when the fair is almost over would end up over at our booth paying us to run the machines with the remote controls. I'm like, you guys have been running these things all day and they just love it. Because the control, that was one of the things I learned that was really neat about them. The controls are the same as a Caterpillar excavator or a Caterpillar front loader. So someone who runs these machines can come in, pick up the remote, and
Wow.
literally use it like an expert because it's exactly the same. And
That's
it also
amazing.
leans into training, kids on how to use these things.
So, you're selling just as many of these packages to people like me as opposed to kids.
Mhm.
That's crazy.
I don't know if there's a good yeah. So if you open right under the Thanksgiving turkey picture, there's some picture of some kids standing there.
Mhm.
This was actually one of the problems. So I had to find a platform for the kids to stand on so they could see
Mhm.
in the trailer. But you can see this is where the kids play for the most part. This
Mhm.
whole other side here, where there isn't a platform, that's all adults. Almost, if you look at through my pictures, you'll almost always see adults standing in that area playing. It's just always so you can see them kind of in the background, see where they're just
Ye
standing there,
yeah.
getting ready to play or playing.
What will your startup cost be for the store?
18, I took on some of the renovations because I can do them myself to save cost. And in turn, I got 50% reduction on the first 4 months of rent. And my rent's real cheap. One of the reasons we went in on this place is because, again, hedging my bets. If I don't make a dime, I can afford it with my W 2. If it turns into a clubhouse, it turns into a clubhouse.
Yeah.
But I don't think it will. We have a lot of excitement, a lot of buzz. The city has reached out to us directly just because of our social media stuff to say, hey, how can we help you? Which is really cool.
How much research have you done on the competing stores? I assume there aren't any in your area, so you're not competing with them directly, but other people that have done this in the Middle East or in the US, do you know, like, what the ceiling is as far as, like, a per store, per year profit?
No, I've run the numbers on my store and I know what other people doing similar things. So the main companies kind of doing this, there's a cafe in the UK who I think has a nice setup. There's a place in Taiwan. There's a place called Diggers Cafe that just opened in Canada that's doing some really nice marketing. They even have a jingle, like an old school radio jingle that goes along with it. So they've got a really nice setup, but they've spent some money. Whatever they do, whoever they've got some investors, or they took out some money too because they built a really nice store. I think our store is going to be really nice. It's just a little bit smaller, and we're not really doing a cafe because we didn't want to get into, all the food service. So we're going to have coffee and stuff that we can sell that's not refrigerated, so baked goods, things like that. So
What do you expect to do, like, both first year and, like, as a ceiling? Like, what is your max capacity as far as annual profit is concerned with one location?
I should have known better. This is like a Shark Tank moment where I don't have my numbers in. I ran models based on the total number of sessions I can run at any given period of time based on the amount of hours I'm open at any given time.
Mhm.
Right. So I think it was at like 12% capacity, I break even on all of my costs involved in running the store. And then anything
Mhm.
above that is obviously profit.
And what is your rent on this place per month?
$1,000.
Oh, that's nothing.
I know. And it's in a
It's
great area. My neighbor is the mayor who owns a really sort of not high end, but like one of those brunch places that all everybody likes to go to. So every day, all morning, that place is packed.
so let's just say now,
humor me for a minute because I know
Mhm.
this isn't realistic, but I'm trying to get an idea of like what the absolute best case scenario is, right? What does sold out 24/7 look like? So if you're
Yeah,
open
I'm really mad that I don't have those numbers.
no, it's all right. Let's tell me how BS these numbers are or not. So you're open 70 hours a week, 10 hours a day, 7 days a week. And of course, you might change that as your demand, comes and goes, whatever. 70 hours a week, 17 at a time is $1 per minute. So that's max potential if you are fully sold out of $17 per minute. So that is 600 minutes per day,
Mhm.
right? 600 minutes times 10 hours, 60 minutes,
Yep.
that's 10 hours, 600 minutes per day times $17 per minute, you're looking at $10,000 for a day. So let's just say you're 20% quote unquote occupied, take out your costs. That could be $300,000 a year of profit.
When I ran the numbers, it was kind of one of those moments where if I even got to 50% capacity, I was like, yeah, this is going to be a home run.
You might not know this, but this is not my full channel. If you want to watch the full episode of the segment that you just saw, go ahead and check this out or the link in the description.